Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Micali. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate that. And if you could, please click that like button, turn it into a rocket, and send it into the stratosphere. So we have an article on Forbes.com. It is about Algorand. It is titled, "Construct a Fast and Secure Blockchain in a World Full of Adversaries." It is written by Steve Ehrlich and Nina Bombasheva. All right. So let's scroll down here. I believe they're doing an interview with Silvio Micali, the founder of Algorand. Okay, so let's scroll down here and get to there's a very interesting part here about the speed of Algorand. The very interesting part here about the speed of Algorand, which I was talking about in another video, and I was juxtaposing that versus the speed of the TIPS system that a lot of the governments in the Eurozone are trying to implement. And TIPS is, how do they title this here? Target Instant Payment Settlement Service, okay? Now, it says instant payment. And they use that terminology a lot throughout their documentation. However, it takes one entire day for the money to make it to you. One entire day. Now, let's hear what Silvio Micali has to say about Algorand's speed here. Let's go back to the article on Forbes.com. So the Forbes interviewer asks and says, talk a little bit about how Algorand is able to scale faster than other blockchains. Mr. Micali says, here's the way we operate differently from other blockchains. First, we agree on one block before producing or starting the generation of the next block. But our agreement on the block is so fast, essentially a few seconds. Say in 4.5 seconds, we already have produced a block, circulated it, and agreed on it. Then we start working on the next block or transaction. So the good part of this is by agreeing on the block, our blockchain never forks, splits into various variations. And that is a really big advantage over other chains, because not only do you want to add blocks quickly, but you also want to add them with finality. That's another thing the TIP system was pushing, that they had this final settlement system, that things will be finalized, which if you look at the semantics of how they're doing things, it's not that. There's a lot of intermediaries. There's a lot of checks and balances as such. And it's pretty much the old, antiquated, archaic system with new makeup on. It's the old system with a new look. That's all TIPS is, okay? It is inferior to blockchain, and this is why. Algorand takes 4.5 seconds to produce a new block. Now, I send Algorand back and forth sometimes, and I have stored it offline, okay, offline. I'm not letting my Algorand touch the internet at all. But usually when I send my Algorand anywhere, it takes about 3 seconds. I think about 3 to 5 seconds. It's so fast, I absolutely love it. I love their staking too, their Algorand rewards. I love their reward system. But it's very fast. Now, which system would you rather use? Algorand system or system, let's say systems like Algorand, an interoperable system where the slowest speed, and I think the slowest speeds in an Algorand, XRP, and XLM interoperable system, the slowest transaction speeds are something like 5 seconds. I think that's the slowest. Out of the three holy trinity of coins, I think the slowest time is like 5 seconds. Correct me if I'm wrong. People will be able to put it down in the comment section and inform us if that is an inaccurate time, but I believe it is 3 to 5 seconds on each of those particular protocols of moving currency, right? And then the cheapest or the most expensive transaction cost minus surge pricing of XLM at particular times for a large volume usage of the rails is 0.001, and I believe that is the transaction cost of Algorand as well as XRP. The transaction cost of XLM, I believe, don't quote me on this, is 0.0001 lumens. Okay, so they're extremely cheap, extremely fast. Juxtapose that with the TIPS system, which takes one entire day to use. And this is the system that they're talking about could possibly be utilized over over blockchain, an inferior system that takes an entire day for money to get to you. Not only that, I would like to add that there's still so many intermediaries in between you and your money. You and your money being sent to whoever you want to send it to. So the money comes from me, it goes to a bank, then it goes from the bank through the tip system, right? For a lot of different checks and validations and such. Then it goes from the tip system to another bank. Then I believe the bank has to have some sort of interaction with the individual or the individual's technology of some sort, where there is verification and all of these different things. Then the money goes to the individual. That's the old system. That is the old, antiquated, archaic system, just with a new look. And maybe now it's not taking 3 to 5 days. It's taking one entire day still. When I can use Algorand to send money from me to you in like 5 seconds. Just send it out, boom, send that algo, boom, it's right there to you. I love that system. I don't need a ton of intermediaries. I just need an efficient system, an efficient, fast, secure system. And that is what Algorand is. This is why Algorand is going to win. This is why it's so tempting for governments to utilize, for banking systems to utilize. I just showed you the system that they're working with now in the Eurozone. And they're some of the leaders in saying what technology is going to be foremost and how technologies are going to be utilized. Bank of International Settlements, same thing. They're very heavy on trying to utilize the blockchain. There are some resistors in the United States Fed. There's a lot of people pro-blockchain in the United States Fed as well, but there are some resistors. I think they're the loudest in the United States federal government. However, this is why Algorand is so tempting for them to use, and why I believe it will be within that interoperable system of the holy trinity of coins, XLM, Algorand, and XRP, which will make so many millionaires and billionaires. So many. This is why on this correction and dip, I am trying to accumulate as much of the banking coins. I have to clarify that, banking coins, because a lot of these other protocol, I don't even touch them. Like I have nothing to do with them. I'm looking at systems that need to be used by banks, big money, that big money is looking at utilizing and letting their capital flow through, which will make the prices skyrocket. That's what I'm looking at. So during these corrections, I differ from a lot of others where I'm not just buying just anything because it's a dip. No, I am concentrating on the banking coins and accumulating as much of those as possible at a low cost. I hope that the price go lower, in my opinion. I hope they go even lower. I'm a long-term holder. These little corrections mean nothing to me. And the individuals, Ahab investors like myself, hunting the white whale, so to speak, Moby Dick, the big whale, the big money, the white whale, the big whale is the big money, the banks. These little corrections mean nothing. They're nothing. I hope the price goes lower. I want to see a lower price XLM. It was 24 cents, just to give you an idea. Let it go lower. Why not? Go ahead. Whales of today, do us a favor. Let it go even lower and get a couple more. Give me a little bit more XLM at an even more beautiful price. Muy linda, mi gente. More Algorand, more XRP. I've been accumulating as much as I can. And here's another thing I want to add. I advise, as my brother did, who is a crypto genius, in my opinion. He's a crypto genius. I advise taking your crypto off of the exchanges. And also, I'll go a little further than that. I wouldn't put my crypto on any device that attaches to the internet or can be accessed by the internet. Air-gapped technology is what I would utilize. Air-gapped, which means your crypto is safe from any hacks. It cannot be hooked up to the internet. It cannot be hacked because it will not ever touch the internet until you're ready to sell. And then there are processes you have to go through to bring your internet, your crypto back to the internet. But yes, I would advise that. Take your crypto off these exchanges. There's a lot of very strange things happening with exchanges lately. You look at the Binance situation and such. And I have to say this to my audience, You don't have to listen to me and do what I'm saying. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. But I have to say this to my audience in particular because most of my audience, we're holding banking coins and they are the most valuable. I can't stress this enough. You must protect your coins at all cost. At all costs, you must protect your coins. I'm protecting mine. Let's get back to this. I'm sorry. Let's get back to the article here. My apologies, everyone. My apologies. But I love you, though. Hope you love me back. If in a typical blockchain, you see a payment made to you in the latest block, you should not necessarily ship the goods because if there is a fork, the blockchain will go in another direction and the block with your payment may actually end up on the short fork, which will disappear. Forbes, are you talking about how it is good practice to wait for 6 block confirmations before considering a Bitcoin transaction final? Bitcoin, of course. Micali, exactly. Bitcoin and other blockchains as well. But if you are paid in Algo, Algorand's native currency, you can ship the goods right away because any block we produce is going to stay on the chain forever. This is what I was saying before. I love that. Say there is a 2/3 majority. All the participants know what the block is. And there is not going to be another alternative block where 2/3 of majority think about something else. There is an honest majority that can only agree on one block. And this is a very big property of Algorand. Forbes, I want to ask a bit more about a few key terms in a computer science that relate to crypto and blockchain. Our investors would want to get a little bit into the details and understand why blockchains work the way they do and the differences between them. For instance, I know that you are one of the co-inventors of zero knowledge proofs. Can you briefly talk about that, explaining how they work? Does Algorand include zero knowledge proofs? This is important. Let's pay attention here. Micali, to tell you the truth, right now, we don't need them. They're still stuck on zero knowledge proofs. Silvio's telling them, Mr. Micali is telling them, we don't need them. But we have plans for using them in the future. They're going to keep all options on the table, of course. So first of all, let me tell your readers about zero knowledge proof. A proof is a way to convince somebody that something is true. Now, if you are skeptical, I cannot just claim the following statement is true. I must prove it to you. But by the time I prove it, I must reveal a lot more information in order to convince you that the statement that's been claimed is indeed true. And a zero knowledge proof does something very unorthodox. It proves the statement directly. So you know that the statement is true, but you have no idea why. And you don't gain any additional information except the statement or whatever I want to prove. Then people say, gee, a little bit more information never hurt anybody. So what's the point? Remember, adversaries are everywhere. So in a distributed system, when you need to prove to others what is true, for instance, if we are in different processors and I do a part of the computation and you do your own part, I want to give you my part together with a proof that what I've done is correct. So you can keep on going knowing that you are starting to work on something that is true and correct. Very often when you have a distributed system, not knowing who an adversary is and who is not, zero knowledge proofs guarantee the integrity of a joint computation. That said, we are not using them right now. Regulators are still thinking about how to deal with blockchains. And they want to foster innovation, but also make sure no bad actors can be given a free ride. This is what I was saying before. They're still stuck on zero knowledge proofs, not understanding about regulatory clarity and what the impact of regulatory clarity is going to have upon the utilization of certain parts of blockchain technology. This is why a lot of things are being held back. But I think we've iterated that before. There's a lot of holding back of at least the protocols that are rails for moving currency across borders and between businesses, nations, banks, etc. There's a lot of holding back right now. So we haven't even scratched the surface of their potentiality because of those particular things. And this is what Mr. Micali, Silvio Micali, founder of Algorand, is trying to convey right here. So Let's continue on just a little bit further. Micali, I think when we are going to introduce zero knowledge proofs according to our schedule, as you say, they're going to be very light computationally. By the way, I very much like Zcash. I think it is a great idea, and in fact, one of my best students was a co-founder and co-inventor of this algorithm. They do indeed leverage zero knowledge proofs, and sometimes people use zero knowledge proofs not only for secrecy, but certain forms called snarks or CS proofs. CS proofs can be used to shrink large amounts of information in an efficient way. However, because we are already so efficient, we will zero knowledge proofs mostly for privacy at the right time. And so now the Forbes interviewer is asking for an update on Algorand. And then Mr. Micali goes into all the basics that I believe we already know. Algorand, this is one of the reasons Algorand is so respected. Silvio Micali, a former professor who invented many parts of modern day blockchain technology and how it's being utilized, has many powerful thoughts on it, has a vision of the future of how it should and can be utilized, is making very good professional relationships, is presenting his ideas in a very clear way to individuals who otherwise would not be able to understand blockchain technology, and thus allowing them to be able to accept the reality of utilization of blockchain technology as a major impactful technological advancement for future use in businesses and governments, nations, and such. Okay, so Algorand is going to continue to do very well, in my opinion, very great. And that price is going to go parabolic at some point, in my opinion, much further than where it is now. That is what I believe, and I believe all the data is pointing to. Now, as Mr. Micali said, when regulatory clarity is achieved, you will see a lot of that holding back. Like he said, we're not utilizing zero knowledge proofs because of certain regulatory clarities. We lack regulatory clarity on certain things, right? So they can't use all of these new methods just yet. It's the same with the banks. The banks cannot utilize Algorand, XLM, and XRP just yet because there's no regulatory clarity. So we have to wait on that, see what happens in those on those battlefields. And if those wars come out favorably for us, then those prices are going to go absolutely insane, because then the full potentiality of these banking coins like Algorand, XLM, XRP, the full potential can then be tapped. And they have not been tapped yet. They haven't been tapped yet. But when they are tapped, it will be muy linda. Very beautiful. And people will make so much money. So much money. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? Oh my God, I'm sweating. I'm so hot. It's hot in here. I didn't bring a fan down here. This is my studio down here. I need to get a fan or air conditioner down here. I did not expect it to be this humid today. Now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.